Morning, we're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 4, Text 7. Yata kopayati vibhu Yata samyachate puna Yam yam shaktim upasritya Guru Shakti Parapuman Atmanam Kridayam Kridan Karoti Vikaroti Cha. Oh, I forgot the last two lines. There's an extra two lines there. Actually, whoever was doing this, there's the 4 lines on one page, and then over the other page there's the 2 lines. Okay, we'll just read these. Yata gopayati vibhu Yata samyachate puna Yam yam shaktim upasritya Guru Shakti Parapuman. Someone else? Yata gopayati vibhu Word for word. Yata, as. Gopayati, maintains. Vibhu, the great. Yata, as. Samyachate, winds up. Puna, again. Yam yam, as. Shaktim, energies. Upasritya, by employing. Guru Shakti, the all-powerful. Para, the supreme. Puman, personality of Godhead. Atmanam, plenary expansion. Kridayan, having engaged them. Kridan, as also. Personally being engaged. Karoti, does them. Vikaroti, and causes to be done. Cha, and. Translation. Kindly describe how the Supreme Lord, who is all-powerful, engages his different energies and different expansions in maintaining and again winding up the phenomenal world in the sporting spirit of a player. Translation, please repeat. Kindly describe how the Supreme Lord, who is all-powerful, engages his different energies and different expansions in maintaining and again winding up the phenomenal world in the sporting spirit of a player. Purport. In the Katha Upanishad 2.2.13, the Supreme Lord is described as the chief eternal being amongst all other eternal individual beings. Nityo Nityananam Chetana Chetananam. And the one Supreme Lord who maintains innumerable other individual living beings, Ekobahunam Yo Vidirati Kaman. So all living entities, both in the conditioned state and in the liberated state, are maintained by the Almighty Supreme Lord. Such maintenance is effected by the Lord through his different expansions of self and 3 principal energies, namely the internal, external and marginal energies. Living entities are as marginal energies, and some of them, in the confidence of the Lord, entrusted with the work of creation also, as are Brahma, Marichi, etc., and the acts of creation, are inspired by the Lord unto them, Tene Brahma Rida. The external energy, Maya, is also impregnated with the jivas, or conditioned souls. The unconditioned marginal potency acts in the spiritual kingdom, and the Lord, by his different plenary expansions, maintains them in different transcendental relations displayed in the spiritual sky. So the one Supreme Personality of Godhead manifests himself in many, Bahushyam, and thus all diversities are in him, and he is in all diversities, although he is nevertheless different from all of them. That is the inconceivable mystic power of the Lord, and as such everything is simultaneously one with and different from him by his inconceivable potency, Sachicha Beta Beta Tattva. So the chapter is entitled The Process of Creation, and we've gone from the pure devotional service to the process of creation from the previous chapter, pure devotional service, and this chapter is the process of creation. Coming back again to what is absolutely necessary for conditioned souls to progress in spiritual life. Now, in the previous verse and purport, Prabhupada especially stressed on some important points, and that is that Maharaj Parikshit and Sukadeva Goswami. Now, Maharaj Parikshit only had 7 days to live, and Sukadeva Goswami instructed him for 7 days. Now, an important point that Prabhupada stresses is that Sukadeva Goswami could have thought, well, now I'm here, I'm instructing Maharaj Parikshit. He only has 7 days to live. He's a very advanced devotee already. Let me just concentrate on the transcendental Leela, especially Rasa Leela, on the Rasa Leela pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the topmost position of any transcendentalist, of any devotee. So only 7 days, and so let me just go immediately there. And Prabhupada also points out that Maharaj Parikshit, from his side, he could have thought that I've only 7 days to live. So, I've been focused on Krishna my whole life, I'm a devotee of Krishna. Let me ask Sukadeva Goswami about the Rasa Leela and the topmost positions. And so Prabhupada points out here, neither Sukadeva Goswami nor Parikshit Maharaj went to that description. Neither, they didn't bring it up, practically speaking. Parikshit Maharaj, Sukadeva Goswami. So this is a very, very important point that Prabhupada emphasizes here. He says here, the time was short. Naturally, Sukadeva Goswami could have gone directly to the 10th canto, make a shortcut of the whole thing. He puts it that way, make a shortcut of the whole thing, as generally done by professional reciters. So we have this popular tradition in India, Bhagavat Sapta, but we find that generally speaking, Bhagavat Sapta means a recitation of the Bhagavatam over a 7-day period, just as Parikshit heard from Sukadeva Goswami. But we don't find Sukadeva Goswami nor Maharaj Parikshit bringing up the matter of the Rasa Leela and Krishna's intimate pastimes with Radha and the gopis. Both the teacher and the student, neither of them brought it up. But today, as Prabhupada points out, we have that type of thing. And it's very attractive, and if you've ever seen, generally the famous reciters and doing this Bhagavat Sapta, they go immediately describe these very intimate pastimes. They have dance, they have drama, interspersed the whole presentation over 7 days. A very attractive presentation. People like to go there, and many thousands upon thousands go for these types of recitations. So they do music, they do dance, they do drama, concentrating on these very intimate pastimes between Radha and Krishna and the gopis and Krishna. But this is not recommended here. Neither has Sukadeva Goswami nor Maharaj Parikshit even brought it up. Prabhupada actually says it jumped. They didn't jump like the organizers of these Bhagavat Sapta recitals. Both of them proceeded systematically, so that both future readers and hearers might take lessons from the example of the procedure of reciting Bhagavatam. And then he goes on to say that those who are under the control, the external energy of the Lord, who are under the material world, must first of all know that the external energy is working under the direction of the Supreme Lord. Then afterwards one may try to enter into the activities of the internal energy. Only when one knows Lord Krishna's greatness can one firmly put one's unflinching faith in him. Very, very important. Our position as conditioned souls, we have got that envy. Just like, for example, in today's verse in the purport, Prabhupada quotes this Nitya Nityananam Chaitana Chaitananam Ekabonam Yovidhati Kaman, that there are many innumerable living entities, but there is one who is maintaining all the others. He is the chief. So our position is that why Krishna is the chief. That is our in the spiritual world, when that mentality, that slight jealousness or envy of Krishna, in the spiritual world, the original separated desire of the living entity, that separate, thinking that why Krishna is the chief? Why can't I be the chief? So, this is due to jealousy. That's one sees someone else as the chief, and they think, well, why does he or she have to be the chief? Why can't I be the chief? Unfortunately, Krishna knows all. Well, fortunately, Krishna knows, but unfortunately, our position is like that in the spiritual world. And so Krishna knows all desires, and one has that. One is in that way of thinking for some time. Then Krishna makes arrangement that you can fulfill that desire to be the chief, although you can never really be the chief. This is Krishna's wonderful quality, that he creates a whole situation in this world where the conditioned souls, out of their jealousy of Krishna, want to be the center, want to be the chief, or the supreme, in the top position, although they can never be. But Krishna arranges things in such a way, in an illusory way, where you can at least think you are. At least you can think you are. Sometimes we say that about people. Well, so-and-so is walking around acting like the chief. Well, he's not the chief, but he thinks he is. Right? Or she is, or whoever. They think they are. But they actually, there's a illusion. They're not. Someone else is actually the chief, but they're walking around like they are the chief. So in illusion, they're walking around and maybe issuing orders and carrying on like they're in the topmost position. So it's an illusion. So even in this world, we have situations like that. But you expand it out to all the conditioned souls over all the universes, thinking in that way to more or less an extent, and just see the position of Krishna. He is. And they, want to focus on themselves. They actually want to forget about Krishna, just be focused on themselves. So Krishna creates a position where you can think like that. Although he's right next to you in your heart, arranging the whole thing, you can't even see him. Although he's arranging it, but you're thinking you're arranging it, and you're the doer, but actually he's the doer. You see the whole thing? It's a very amazing situation, how Krishna can act like that, but he's so expert, he can do those types of things. So we may desire to jump up to the topmost positions, but that's not at all recommended. I always remember that saying that Prabhupada used to use, that there was a Bengali saying that was translated into English by one professor, and it was, what was that? There was a big monkey, big belly, Ceylon jumping melancholy. Prabhupada used to say that a bit. Big monkey, big belly, Ceylon jumping melancholy. What does that mean? Some of the old timers can explain. Al?
Well, jump across but mayavadis think they can jump across the ocean and birth and death, but actually they can't.
And Prabhupada used it in referring to many different things. Materialists, they want to imitate someone else who's very great. They want to have all the benefits of that person, but they can't achieve what that person. And then he gives the example of sometimes people want to imitate Lord Shiva and take the ganja and everything like that, but they can't drink the ocean of poison that Lord Shiva drank. So we want to imitate. We bite off more than we can chew. Big monkey, big. So there were many monkeys who had big bellies who wanted to eat a lot, just like Hanuman liked to eat a lot, right? Just like Bhimsena, who was the incarnation, he liked to eat a lot. But so you might think, well, I'm going to eat like Bhima, but you'll get sick. But Bhima, he did so many Herculean tasks, just like Hanuman. He jumped across to Ceylon, it was called Ceylon, and now it's called Lanka, Sri Lanka. But so a big monkey, big belly, Ceylon jumping melancholy. So first of all, we have to now, even on the mundane level, I remember reading a long time ago about this one inventor, very famous inventor, you've probably all heard of his name, American inventor, Thomas Edison. Thomas Edison is very famous for inventing a few different things, the incandescent light bulb that by heat the filament is there and then the light comes, he invented that, and also... What's that?
Telephone?
Telephone, he improved it. That Bell was the one who invented that. Yeah, but Edison was another one for the phonograph. The sound from by putting the sound, that you could record the sound and then play it. First of all, he had the record, and so you could record, and he invented that, and moving pictures, like the cinematography. The movies, that was him, and also he had some battery he invented, so a lot of different things. But then someone said that, well, you've invented so many things, you're a real genius. He said, I don't know if I'm a genius, but... And then they said, well, how did you become a genius like that? He said, I don't know if I'm a genius, but, one thing, genius is not just all of a sudden. He said it was 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. He said, if I'm going to be called a genius, that's how I attained it. 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration. He said that, and genius means I came up with something, I invented something, but before that I failed 10,000 times trying to achieve the same thing. And he's another good saying he had. He said that someone who actually failed quite often didn't know how close he was to success, but he gave up too soon. And of course, on the Acharya side, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, one of his famous sayings was that spiritual progress means taking small steps in the right direction. Spiritual progress means taking small steps in the right direction. So don't immediately want to jump up to the topmost levels. Just like you can say in layman's terms, you could say it's above your pay grade. Right? It's above your pay grade. You get paid according to your abilities. So if you haven't got, so you've got certain abilities and then you get paid accordingly. But someone who's got greater abilities, they get bigger pay because they got greater ability. So someone who's now interestingly enough, both Sukadeva Goswami and Maharaj Parikshit were certainly qualified to go directly into the higher realms of Krishna's pastimes. Both of them. But both of them didn't. And Yad Yadachari Shri Shestas Tad Tadivetado Janasaya Pramanamukurs Lokas Tat Anuvartate is a famous verse from Bhagavad Gita. Whatever action a great man performs, common men will follow. Whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. So, both of them, being very elevated, knew they were setting an example. So Maharaj Parikshit asked questions, he's asking, he kindly describe the all-powerful, how the Supreme Lord, who is all-powerful, engages in different energies and different expansions in maintaining, again, winding up the phenomenal world. So this is what Maharaj Parikshit asked. And this is what Sukadeva Goswami talked about. He kind of touches on pure devotional service, but now the process of great understanding these basic. And here also it is mentioned by Srila Prabhupada that first of all, one must know how the external energy of the Lord is working under the direction of the Supreme Lord. Only then can one enter the activities of the internal energy. And so when you understand this thing very well, then you begin to have respect for Krishna and have faith in Krishna. Because if one just goes directly to intimate pastimes, or very extraordinary leelas, just like yesterday was, I was reading the story of Abhiram Thakur. There was Abhiram Thakur's disappearance day, anniversary. So Abhiram Thakur in Chaitanya, he was formerly in Krishna Leela, he was Sridham. So one time Sridham and all the Krishna and Balaram, all the coward boys were playing hide and seek, Krishna Leela. And so they were hiding here and there. And Sridham went into a cave and he fell asleep in the cave. And so all of them, they were playing hide and seek, they finished their game. And as mentioned, the story is that Krishna decided that he wanted to go to Nadia to start his Chaitanya Leela. So he and Balaram, he came as Chaitanya and Lord Balaram came as Lord Nityananda, and all the different coward boys appeared in different ways in Chaitanya Leela. But then Krishna, as Lord Chaitanya, noticed that, well, where's Sridham? We've forgotten Sridham. So he sent Lord Nityananda back to get Sridham, and he found him in the cave. And he explained to him, now Krishna, we've all gone to go into Chaitanya's pastimes. You have to come. But Sridham was looking at him, and he was really, Lord Nityananda, he was small now because he appeared in the Kali Yuga, in the previous Yuga. They were all big. So he said, who are you? Who are you? He said, I'm your Balaram. You're not my Balaram, you're too small. Yes, I am now. I've got this form now because we're doing a different Leela. So, Sridham said, I'm the fastest runner of all the coward boys, and only Balaram could keep up with me. So I'm going to take off running, and if you can catch me, then I'll know you're Balaram. So then he took off running, and then Lord Nityananda, and as he was running, he saw Lord Nityananda right next to him. All right, you're Balaram. So then he said that, but I don't know why you forgot me. My feelings are hurt. I don't want to go to your. Where did you say you came from, Nadia? So the whole story goes on like that. Very, 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 very wonderful story. So then, so I don't want to go there. No, you have to come and join in. Krishna's calling you. So then they brought him, but he was big. And so there's another description that this is not good because now he's going to really stand out to do the video. He's like double our size here, so we're going to have to make him smaller. So both Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda jumped on the shoulders and swung around on his arms, and all of a sudden he came down to the size of everybody else. There's many other stories, and he became Abhiram Thakur, so there's many wonderful stories of Abhiram Thakur, very learned. He had a whip called Jai Mangala. Whoever he touched with the whip, he will get ecstatic love of God. So many stories in regard to if he paid his obeisances to to any other stone besides Shalagam, the stone would crack, all these other wonderful stories of Abhiram Thakur. But, so we're telling this story, now if we're telling this story and people just, they think that's, and as Prabhupada mentions here, that, if one doesn't understand the greatness of Krishna, how he can do so many things as far as, the vast expanse of the material and spiritual world, then people will mistake Lord Krishna for historical or myth only. It's just, these are just myths. But when you understand the greatness of Krishna and how he can do something, now here is a description of the internal energies, the external energies, the marginal energy, how all the different expansions, there's many descriptions, like for example, Svayam Prakash, Svayam Vilas, Svayam Prabhav, Svayam Vaibhav. Svayam Prakash means expansions of Krishna are identical, just like in the Rasa Leela dance, they're all identical. And Svayam Vilas, a little bit different, just like in Dwarka, where Krishna has so many queens. The forms are just a little bit different from each other. They're Krishna, but they're a little bit different. Svayam Prabhav means fully potent. Svayam Vaibhav can be partially potent, engaging in different leelas in a partially potent way. So there's a lot of descriptions about all these technicalities of Swayam Prakash, Swayam Vilas, Swayam Prabhas, Swayam Vaibhav, and the Antaranga, Bahiranga, Tatashta Shakti is mentioned here, internal, external, marginal. All these descriptions, one has to know these things. How the Lord expands the material energies, all the elements, how all these things are going, how he's maintaining them all. He's not only maintaining everyone in this world, he's maintaining them in the spiritual world. This is a very interesting point here the Prabhupada makes, that those who are conditioned, Krishna is within the heart arranging everything, and those who are liberated, he arranges all their needs as well. It's not that when one is conditioned one needs Krishna, and then when one is liberated, well, we don't need Krishna, we can just do everything ourselves. No, Krishna is maintaining you there also. We're not like the Mayavadis. I remember this story when Prabhupada, Bhavananda told me this story. He was there on the walk. It was actually, they were walking on this, and the fields, and in those days there was hardly anything there, all rice fields, and they had to go down an embankment. And so Prabhupada held on to the shoulder of Bhavananda as they were going down, or held on to the hand as they were going down of Bhavananda. So then they got to the bottom and he threw away the hand, just very abruptly. No, he was very startled. And then Prabhupada just didn't say anything for him, just looking at it. He said, this is like the Mayavadis, he said they, to become self-realized and become God, they need all sorts of help. But when they become God, they don't need anyone anymore. They're God. He said, we are not like that. We are always dependent, whether conditioned or liberated, on the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So whether conditioned or liberated, Krishna is the chief. And he's wonderful. He's the natural leader. Banu Maharaj, I remember this nice class Banu Maharaj was given when he was here. He said, why is everyone attracted to Krishna? Why does everyone just follow Krishna around everywhere? Is it like Krishna forced them to follow him around? He's just very egotistical and, he just has to have all the attention and just gathers everyone up all the time and, gets them all to follow him. He said, and Banu Maharaj commented, he said, no, it's described that Krishna is just a natural, he's very charismatic. He is so wonderful. Just like even in this world, we know that we may have someone who's in the group of our friends he's just like, or she's just very charismatic. Everyone just kind of flocks around that person. Whatever they're doing, they all want to be in on it because they're such a attractive personality. They're charismatic. They've got wonderful qualities. Everyone just wants to be around that person. So even in this world, we have like small examples of it. But in the spiritual realm, Krishna, even in this world, Krishna is so attractive, so many wonderful qualities. It's not that he's necessarily trying to be the center, but just that he is. You understand? That's a very important point. That he just is. He's not trying to be. If you're trying to be, then you're not. Understand? If you're trying to be God, then you're actually not. If you're trying to be very, very advanced and trying to come to that, that means you're not on that platform. And the Acharyas say, don't try prematurely. Just do systematically, understand everything very well. And we have to hear these things again and again because our memory, we just forget, like we hear in a class or we read something and we walk out just an hour later, we've forgotten the whole thing. Mode of ignorance is there, especially in Kali Yuga. And Prabhupada gives the example of, the species, the animal species of life, just like, the hunter he gives the example, the hunter comes, is hunting some deer or something like that, and he comes close, sneaks up, and he shoots a deer dies, and all the rest just run off. They run off. But then because they're so addicted to feeding, they'll just run off like 100 meters, 200 meters, and they'll start feeding again, as if nothing happened. And then he'll just sneak up again and shoot another one. So we're like that, we hear something, we get covered over, we just go out and do the same thing. As if we didn't even hear it in the first place. Right. So therefore, we have to hear it again and again. The Acharyas, great devotees, they could be just absorbed in, wonderful, intimate pastimes and serving those who are engaging. But they take the time and they have the patience to explain these things and re-explain them. Now, just for example, in Bhagavad Gita, Nastamo Shmiti Sabda Tatpasaramaya Sitasi Gatasandeya Garishya Vachanam Tava. The Lord Krishna asked Arjuna at the end of Bhagavad Gita, you'll find in the 18th chapter, that he said, now I've described many subject matter, have you heard all this with an attentive mind? Krishna talks about, the subjects of Bhagavad Gita, the Ishvara, the Jiva, the Kala, the Prakriti, the Karma. Then he talks about the Yoga, all these different things. And then he asks Arjuna, have you heard all this with an attentive mind? Is your ignorance an illusion now dispelled? Now, Prabhupada explained in the purport there that Krishna was acting as the guru of Arjuna, and Arjuna asked him to be the guru. Sishyasteham sarimam tam papanam. Says, we are friends, but I'm bewildered, so I want to be your sishya, I want to be your disciple, your student, and I want you to be the guru. So when Krishna accepted that role, then there was a different type of mood between them, guru and disciple, teacher and student. And so Prabhupada explained that Krishna asked this question because if one has actually attentively heard and followed everything, then naturally the ignorance and illusion will be dispelled. That's one thing. And another thing is, as the guru, he was ready to explain any point again. And Prabhupada goes on to say he was ready to explain the whole Bhagavad Gita again, if it was necessary. He said, this is the guru. Guru is very impatient. That just like a teacher in the school, there's some students who learn very quickly, pick it up quick, others are more slow, so they have to ask the questions. If you understand these things, if anyone doesn't understand, which part didn't you understand, or that part, or let me explain, which part didn't you understand? Oh, I didn't understand the whole thing. Oh. Well, just get out of the class. Well, who do you think you are? I don't think they'll last very long as a teacher, right? That's it. You didn't understand the whole thing. Oh, I'm wasting my time teaching. Yeah, get out. Right? No, not like that. You have to be very patient. Of course, the student can't be just lazy. That's the other thing. You can have the best teacher in the world, but if you're a very lazy student, inattentive student, you're going to fail, even though the teacher's going to put a lot of time into you. So both the teacher and student have to be committed to the process of learning. So too the devotees in general we have to be committed, and we have to be committed in the following the example of the predecessor acharyas and what their instructions are. Learn about these things first. Learn about the energies. Learn about the creation. And then you will respect Krishna. You see. We don't respect that. Because of envy, if you're jealous of someone, you really can't respect them properly, can you? Right? Nor is that person going to reveal much to you because they know you're jealous. Right? Nam prakasa savasya. I reserve the right to reveal. So they're not going to reveal because that you will not understand, and you will, not that they're affected, not that Krishna's affected by your jealousy, but it's not good for you and not good for others. So you're not going to, someone who's jealous of you, you're not going to reveal the intimate stuff. Because they're going to do it. They're going to take it, and what are they going to do with it? They're going to twist it around and do all sorts of things because they're jealous. Right? So then that will be bad for them, and that'll mislead others. So therefore, Krishna doesn't reveal himself. And only when one is purified gradually, and understands the greatness of Krishna. You'll find this in all world religions, in the Islam and Allah Akbar, God is great. The Christian, God is the greatness of God. Just like in Christianity, of God-fearing, even to that extent. They're God-fearing nation. What is that? Fearing God. They fear God. Why? Because of the greatness of God. They actually fear Him. So better to fear Him than not know Him at all. But that's the lower level. The higher level is to love God. But respect has to be there. Just like respect has to be there for the teacher in the class. If you don't respect the teacher, you're not going to listen much. So respect has to be there, and respect comes knowing the ability of the teacher and knowing the greatness of the teacher, and then the faith will come. And when faith comes, then you can commit yourself. If you don't have faith in someone, you don't have respect for someone, then you won't be able to commit yourself to it. So therefore, this is very wonderfully explained here, the internal, external, marginal, the achincha beta tattva that most devotees, of course, the followers of Lord Chaitanya know of achincha beta. Simultaneously, both oneness, and a point here made by both oneness is in Krishna and diversity is in Krishna. He is everywhere, but he is not. He is everything, but at the same time, he is not everything. So this, he is one with everything, but he is separate from everything. It's the Chincha Beta Tattva philosophy. So one has to progress steadily along these lines, know these things, and then gradually, small steps in the right direction, you can come up. Interspersed, you can know about different leelas, and sometimes, the different pastimes of Radha and Krishna on Radhastami and different festival days, interspersed. But if you immediately go there, try to jump right into it and just focus, you won't be able to do it for a start for very long. And then who knows what attitude you'll develop because you're not really qualified to go to that level. So I'll read this verse again. Kindly describe how the Supreme Lord, who is all powerful, engages his different energies and different expansions in maintaining and again winding up the phenomenal world in the sporting spirit of a player. I think we've got time maybe for one question. Sorry, I went a bit long. Any question at all? Comment?
There's something I read recently that the Prabhupada's talking about our attitude to Krishna, why we were put into the material world. Prabhupada used the term in competition with.
In competition with Krishna. We're in competition with Krishna.
Oh. It's just a different slang that we were in competition.
Oh, you mean you're talking about in the original?
Yes, why
yeah. But I put, there, yeah. Oh, that's the way he described that particular time. Right. Okay. Yeah, interesting comment. All right. Thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Go Premanande. Hari Hari Bol.